Good evening, folks, and welcome to our new news broadcast tonight. My name is Victor Muyakane, and of course on sign language we have the great Catherine Simaloy. And together we're going to take you through all the news and reviews that we've got for you tonight. To give you an idea of what we have will be the highlights, but before that, we want to talk about a conversation that we're going to have a little bit later on in this broadcast. You have doubtless heard about the government's plan to vaccinate Kenyan livestock across the country. Ambitious plan to cover about 20 to 22 million head of cattle. Ladies and gentlemen, this initiative has come under great controversy and great debate. Tonight, we have one of the preeminent scientists in this field, one of whom has actually developed a vaccine for livestock that has been used not just here in the country, but internationally as well. He's here to break it down. He's here to blow away the mist of confusion to get to the heart and facts of the matter. This is a conversation we want you to be part of a little bit later on in this broadcast, so please don't go away. But first, the highlights. Tonight, Health Cabinet Secretary Dr. Deborah Barasa reassures Kenyans that operations at Kenyatta National Hospital have returned to normal. This is after a system failure disrupted services on January 14th and 15th.
And we are happy to report to Kenyans that yes, we have an alternative system, and we have experienced and seen that there is no system interruption.
Also tonight, the National Police Service has made changes to the leadership structure of its senior command, affecting both national and regional levels.
I, Nurdin Mohammed Haji, do hereby swear by the Almighty God that I shall be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Constitution and Republic of Kenya.
And amid the recent noise surrounding the National Intelligence Service, an organization shrouded in secrecy, tonight we ask, who is the NIS? All right, folks, that and so much more we have in store for you this evening. Our producers are going to put a number on the screen. There's an SMS line over there. There's also a WhatsApp number right there that will be on the screen in the course of this broadcast. I invite you to share with us your feedback and your questions, and we shall be able to answer them as we proceed. And we begin our broadcast with health matters. And the Health CS, Dr. Deborah Barasa, has reassured Kenyans that the issues affecting the Social Health Authority, that is SHA, have been fully resolved. This assurance came during her visit to the Kenyatta National Hospital following a dramatic incident where two frustrated patients from the facility stormed the Ministry of Health offices demanding immediate intervention. Acknowledging the system's failure, which occurred on the 14th and 15th of January, Dr. Barasa apologized on behalf of the ministry and promised significant reforms. She was accompanied by Principal Secretaries Harry Kimtai and Mary Muthoni, as well as the Director General of Health, Dr. Patrick Amoth. Our health reporter, Arno Dida, has more details.
Systems are not working, and I've come here to protest to say that they're not working.
This unusual and dramatic visit to the Ministry of Health offices on Wednesday afternoon.
Sorry, I'm getting personal. I have come with a mother here. Who? Come inside. She's carrying a baby. They want to kick me out. Let them kick me out, but know the truth.
Prompted an impromptu visit by health officials to respond to grievances raised by the visibly frustrated patients from Kenyatta National Hospital.
We have patients who are sitting out there waiting for that SHA, and it is not working. They are not approving.
I had CS down 2 weeks ago, and then there are some complications. Nikakuja Kenyatta again. Nothing is going to happen unless SHA approviwe.
On Thursday, Health CS Dr. Deborah Barasa confirmed that there had been a system failure at KNH on January 14 and 15, assuring the public that the backlog has since been resolved and services are expected to run seamlessly.
The incidents occurred on the 14th and 15th up to 10 a.m. and the backlog has been sorted. Patients have are receiving seamless services, and I want to assure Kenyans that health services will continue in the National Referral Hospital and other facilities.
Despite the ministry's swift response, the situation on the ground appeared far from resolved. Long queues were still witnessed at the facility, with some frustrated and distressed patients claiming they have been waiting for SHA clearance since Monday. Kenyatta National Hospital had on Wednesday acknowledged the backlog, announcing the deployment of additional personnel and extended working hours to ensure prompt service delivery and ease the congestion. The ministry has since issued an apology to patients who experience challenges, adding that interventions are in place to prevent similar occurrences in the future.
We are happy to report that the system is up and running following great work. There was tireless and endless work among the technical team. I had instructed them to look at interventions to ensure that we don't have any kind of system interruption, have an alternative in case it do so happens.
As of January 15, SHA has collected 20 billion Kenyan shillings, with 17.8 million Kenyans registered under the scheme. Ann Odida, TV47.
All right, from matters health, let's go to security. And the National Police Service has made changes to the senior police leadership, affecting both national and regional positions. Nairobi Regional Police Commander Adamson Bungei has been reassigned to police headquarters as the new Director of Operations. As a result, Bungei will be succeeded by Coast Regional Police Commander George Seda, who will take over as Nairobi's police boss. Resila Onyango, the former NPS spokesperson, has been transferred to the Diplomatic Police Unit, where she has been appointed Commandant. Michael Nyaga-Mushiri, previously the Kiambu Police Commander, has been appointed as the new police spokesperson, succeeding Onyango. Bungei, who was appointed Nairobi Police Commander on November 14, 2022, previously served as the Baringo County Police Commander and held various roles, including Officer Commanding Police Division, OCPD, for Buruburu and Central in Nairobi. Michael Sang, the head of Serious Crimes Unit at DCI, has been reassigned to the Eastern Region as the new DCI Regional Head. Of course, these are some of the changes that have happened in the Kenya Police Service, or rather the National Police Service top leadership positions. Just to recap, the Nairobi police boss now becomes the operations director, or rather head of operations at police headquarters in Nairobi. All that and so much more, we shall be keeping you updated on that. To other news. Parliament has approved the nomination of 3 cabinet secretaries who will serve in the broad-based government as part of President William Ruto's strategy to woo back the Mount Kenya region and foster national unity. However, members of Parliament have criticised some government officials, including Public Service CS Justin Beden Muturi, over his remarks on abductions. They have insisted that Muturi should either align with the government position or resign. Our senior political reporter Elizabeth Mutuku has the details.
In a special session on Thursday, the National Assembly approved the appointment of 3 cabinet secretaries, all former allies of former President Uhuru Kenyatta, to join the broad-based government.
Honorable Lee Kinyanjui, Investments, Trade and Industry. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
However, recent remarks by Public Service Cabinet Secretary Justin Beden Muturi about abductions dominated the debate on the National Assembly Appointments Committee report. Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah and his minority counterpart Junet Mohammed calling on Muturi to either resign or align himself with the Kenya Kwanza government.
If your motivation is service to the people of Kenya, but if your motivation is extortion, if your motivation is deals in government, then you will find that maybe this particular Department of State is better than the ministry I'm currently serving in, because probably you are not able to get the kind of deals you are getting in another office, Honorable Speaker.
So, Mr. Speaker, if you don't wait for God to come to your house to talk to you, if you think you cannot serve the government anymore, go do farming. Go do other things, Mr. Speaker. Or become something else. Become a professional. If you're a lawyer, go and open a law firm and serve the country that sphere, Mr. Speaker. Because you cannot be a cabinet secretary who is issuing contrary views to what your government is saying. It's immoral, actually.
This is as members of parliament expressed confidence in President William Ruto's decision to form the broad-based government. They say the expertise of the three nominated cabinet secretaries will help steer the country forward and restore public confidence through effective performance. The three cabinet secretaries were nominated following a meeting between President William Ruto and former President Uhuru Kenyatta, a move seen as crucial in regaining the support of the Mount Kenya region ahead of the 2027 general election.
While he was there, he ensured that there was free Wi-Fi in the urban centers in Kiambu County. He ensured there was a digital county transformation service, including educating the people of Kiambu County.
A small docket, Honorable Speaker, is a docket that balloons the economy of our country. All what we manufacture, Honorable Speaker, must get the destination. And all what is possible to invest, Honorable Speaker, any small-scale person relies on this docket, Honorable Speaker.
The House also approved a report presented by the Defence, Intelligence and Foreign Relations Committee chaired by Belgut, Member of Parliament Nelson Koech, endorsing the appointments of former Agriculture and Livestock Development Cabinet Secretary Andrew Karanja as an ambassador to Brazil, Ababuna Mwamba to UNEP, and former Inspector General of Police Nur Gabo to Haiti.
Of that opinion, say aye. Those of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Cabinet secretaries and ambassadors are expected to take their oaths of office as early as Friday. Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, there's a heated debate that has aroused some mixed reactions. I'm talking about the debate on the possibility of Public Service CS Justin Muturi's move of joining hands with former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Possibility. Now, this possibility has aroused mixed reactions from Mount Kenya leaders affiliated to Kenya Kwanza government who have warned that the region shall not attempt to exit the government. Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru has asked Mount Kenya residents to reject any attempts by leaders who might want to drag them out of the government. And as our reporter Mike Kagwango reports, a section of members of parliament now say that they won't waste time impeaching the CS, but will, and other CSs for that matter, but would rather oversight their work. Let's take a look.
Cabinet Secretary for Public Service Justin Muturi's remarks on abduction cases in the country has paved way for a rift between Kenya Kwanza government legislators and former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's allies. Speaking in Kirinyaga County Thursday, Area Governor Anne Waiguru urged Mount Kenya residents to reject any attempts by leaders to remove them from Kenya Kwanza government.
Tusikubali kutenganishwa na siasa, tujirushe kwa mashimo, miaka 5, miaka 10, tuishi tukiregret kama watu wa Mount Kenya.
Waiguru stressed that the people of Kirinyaga and Mount Kenya region will not defect from President William Ruto's administration to the opposition, seemingly serving as a stern warning to former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and his supporters.
Kama watu wa Kirinyaga na watu wa Mount Kenya, na tuangalie mbele na watoto wetu ambao tunazaa, hawa ambao umewaona hapa, na wale ambao tunalea, kwa sababu tunataka wakue na nchi nzuri tukienda mbele.
Ikiwa kutakuwa kuna maswali nadhani.
These as religious leaders from Nairobi region castigated Muturi's remarks, urging leaders across political divide to avoid cheap politics and irresponsible rhetoric that could endanger the country's unity and stability.
Matters of national security are far too delicate to be used as tools for political posturing. Such utterances have the potential to incite division and disrupt the peace we currently enjoy.
These brave men and women remain vigilant in the face of evolving threats. Their dedication deserves our gratitude and support, not baseless accusations that undermine their efforts.
This attempt to create enmity between communities appears to be driven by ulterior motives that serve no one but few individuals.
Honorable Muturi's narrative appears to align suspiciously with the interest of the impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who has often sought to politicize personal woes and frame them as corrective struggles for Mount Kenya community.
On a number of issues.
Meanwhile, in Parliament, legislators maintain that they will no longer waste time impeaching cabinet secretaries, but will rather oversight their work. In his speech to the House on Thursday, Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah urged appointed leaders who were uncomfortable working with government in their positions to step down, asserting that the president held the authority to appoint, dismiss and replace cabinet secretaries.
We will not waste any more of our parliamentary time to impeach a cabinet secretary. Honorable Speaker, cabinet secretaries are not people to waste our time with. The honorable thing for a cabinet secretary who feels they have failed on their job, or they are too big for the current job that they are holding, is to resign. They should not waste our time.
You no longer believe in what the government is doing, and you're a cabinet secretary, just resign.
Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, in the recent months, the National Intelligence Service, the NIS, the country's little-known but powerful intelligence agency, has come under scrutiny over allegations of human rights violations, including accusations of abductions and political interference. But what exactly is the NIS? What does the law say about its role and its mandate? Tonight, Samira Mohammed takes an in-depth look at the origins of the NIS, its evolution from the special branch to NSIS, and its transition to the NIS under the 2012 Act. Take a look.
I, Nurdin Mohammed Haji.
The National Intelligence Service is Kenya's principal intelligence agency tasked with providing both domestic and foreign intelligence.
I will at all times subject myself to the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, the National Intelligence Services Act.
The agency's responsibility includes gathering and analyzing information related to the national security, with a focus on identifying and addressing potential threats to the safety and stability of the country.
We cannot say NIS is a faceless animal because we have an act in the Constitution that covers NIS, and it spells out the responsibilities of NIS in national security. They look at the criminal element of threats in national security.
NIS, which was previously known as the National Security Intelligence Service, that is NSIS, traces its origins from the Special Branch, a department of the police force established during the British colonial rule in 1952. Special Branch was initially responsible for intelligence operations in Kenya during the Mau Mau uprising, and its mandate was expanded in the post-independence era to cover a broad spectrum of the intelligence activities. The National Intelligence Service, with its roots connected to the Special Branch, is one of the most feared and faceless security agencies in the country. The Special Branch was the most feared institution as the former government under the leadership of Mzee Jomo Kenyatta and Daniel Arap Moi used the agency to suppress their critics and settle their political scores. Hundreds of Kenyans are reported to have been abducted, killed and tortured by members of the Special Branch, an allegation that now faces NIS, which has been accused of allegedly committing similar crimes.
I think what Kenyans should also understand that this is not the first time we are seeing a national security agency taking political sides. We in Kenya, we have a long history of these kind of happenings. And remember, the predecessor of NIS was the Special Branch. And you saw all the accusations against the Special Branch or about the Special Branch during Mois' tenure, where They were accused of abducting people, taking them to the Nyayo house basement, torturing them.
In 2012, the NSIS was restructured and renamed the National Intelligence Service, that is NIS, under the 2012 National Intelligence Service Act. Today, the NIS is a highly organized agency divided into several sections, each with specific responsibility. This includes administrative functions, information technology, internal intelligence, external intelligence, analysis and production, operations, and training at the National Intelligence Academy. In 2023 and 2024 financial year, the institution received 45.8 billion shillings for its operation, an amount that is double that of the judiciary. According to the Constitution and the 2012 NIS Act, the agency is tasked with several critical functions, with the primary one being the protection of national security, intelligence gathering and threat identification, advising the president and the government, protecting national security interests, ensuring accountability and independence, and collaboration with government agencies.
The NIS do not have powers of arrest, according to the CPC. Yes, they have powers to investigate, to support the police in a criminal investigation. But the moment they have gotten the information, they have done the investigations, they have done the analysis of the evidence, they will need to share this with the police so that the police can act on that information. They don't have those powers of arrest, they don't have powers to detain anybody.
Samira Mohammed for TV47.
Right. Please remember that later on we're going to have a conversation on the controversial subject of livestock vaccination. Since the President's announcement of a nationwide program to vaccinate all, if not most, of Kenya's livestock, there's been quite a lot of debate over this, quite a lot of rumors as well as mixed feelings about this particular exercise. We are going to have a conversation with a preeminent scientist in this field, a vaccine developer in his own right, who's going to help us understand exactly what the facts are and what fiction should be discarded. All that and so much more in a bit. But first, the Kenya Nutritionists and Dietitians Institute, that is KNDI, has taken a big step towards enhancing preclinical skills training by delivering state-of-the-art mannequins to 4 education institutions. Among the beneficiaries are Mount Kenya University and Kabete Polytechnic. The initiative is part of KNDI's broader plan to equip training institutions with essential resources, aiming to improve the quality of the healthcare education served in this country. Sheila Chelangat tells us more.
In the first phase of the Kenya Nutritionists and Dietitians Institute KNDI program of promoting an integrated approach for frontline health cadres,
so some people
4 institutions today received state-of-the-art mannequins to improve their preclinical skills training.
These mannequins will be very useful because when the students graduate, they will come out with real skills, not theory.
Mount Kenya University, Nuria College, Vision Empowerment Training Institution, and the Kabete National Polytechnic are the institutions that received their packages today.
I like the idea of an integrated preclinical lab, which is actually going to help not only the nutrition students, but it's going also to have an impact in the training for nurses.
With a standardized component like this, we will be able to bring training closer to the people and train people of the same standards with adequate knowledge in everywhere.
So far, 83 training institutions have complied with KNDI for the improvement of their preclinical trainings.
It's also in preparation for the coming in of the CBC students whose focus is more on the psychomotor skills and competency-based of picking up skills than theory.
Sheila Chelangat for TV47.
Away from matters education and health to matters justice. And Chief Justice Martha Koome and 6 other Supreme Court judges are facing mounting pressure as a petition filed by former Law Society of Kenya President Nelson Havi seeks their removal over allegations of gross misconduct. On Thursday, the Judicial Service Commission confirmed receiving the petition, which implicates Chief Justice Koome, Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu, and the entire bench in a case that could have far-reaching implications for the country's judiciary. Lennox Sengre has the details.
At the foot of the CBK Pension Towers, a storm is brewing for the Apex Court. The Chief Justice Martha Koome and the Supreme Court judges find themselves at the center of a looming crisis. Thursday, the Judicial Service Commission (JSC) received a petition targeting the entire Supreme Court bench.
The petition received on 13 January 2025 makes allegations of gross misconduct and misbehavior against the aforementioned judges.
After an onslaught by a petitioner alleging rampant corruption and misconduct within the judiciary, the JSC confirmed it has officially received a petition seeking the removal of Chief Justice Martha Koome, Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu, and Supreme Court Justices Mohamed Ibrahim, Dr. Smoklin Wanjala, Njoki Ndung'u, Isaac Lenaola, and William Ouko. The JSC also received petitions against 2 High Court judges, including Justice Alfred Mabea, citing allegations of gross misconduct and misbehavior.
The Commission has also received 2 separate petitions against Honorable Justice Alfred Mabea, Judge of the High Court.
Former Law Society of Kenya President Nelson Havi has filed a separate petition against Justice Lucas Lepres Naikuni, accusing him of incompetence in discharging judicial duties. According to the JSC, of the 935 petitions received against members of the judiciary, 862 have been finalized. 12 petitions have been forwarded to the President, recommending the formation of tribunals for removal. Article 168 of the 2010 Constitution outlines the process for the removal of a judge. A judge of a superior court may be removed only on grounds such as inability to perform due to mental or physical incapacity, breach of the prescribed code of conduct, bankruptcy, incompetence, or gross misconduct or misbehavior. The removal process begins with a petition to the Judicial Service Commission, which then recommends to the President. Within 14 days of receiving the petition, the President must suspend the judge and form a tribunal to deliberate. Ahead, Chief Justice Martha Koome and her team have a big task to clear their names over the alleged corruption bedeviling the judiciary. But now the big question that begs, will justice be served under the alleged unjust system? Lennox Sengre, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, a 76-year-old veteran airline pilot has taken unprecedented action, one of chaining himself onto an aircraft over lack of safe training ground for young Kenyan pilots. Joseph Martin Ririani, the founder of the Kenya School of Flying, decried congestion at Wilson Airport as the main problem, which has been compounded by encroachment of its land over the years. The incident occurred at Orly Air Park in Kajiado County, where pilots, engineers and other staff at the aviation school looked on helplessly as their boss chained himself onto an aircraft that he has flown for over 50 years. Orly Air Park is served by one runway, which according to Captain Ririani has been challenging to students because of crosswinds while taking off or landing. Therefore, he has urged the government, especially the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, to intervene and help them develop a runway that is safer for students. All right, on that note, we take a short break. When we come back, we'll have a little more to tell you before we get into that interview on the all-important subject of livestock vaccination. Take a break. We'll be right back. Please don't go away.
Are you ready to elevate your business game?
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
Kama wewe ni mfanyabiashara, huwezi kaa bure, unajipanga taratibu vile inavyofaa.
Join us each week as we dive into the stories of the world's most driven entrepreneurs.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
The Grind, where business meets brilliance. Tune in every Monday at 7:30 p.m. because your business deserves the best.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips. And the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m.
All right, welcome back. If you're joining us right now, this is the Daily Report with Victor Muyakane and Catherine Similoy. Now, we have a discussion coming up, but let's set the stage. A nationwide plan to vaccinate livestock beginning this month has ignited heated controversy. While the government insists that the vaccines are designed to prevent animal diseases, critics, including several opposition leaders, allege a hidden agenda to curb methane emissions from livestock, among other things. This claim has left farmers torn over whether to vaccinate their animals or not. Our reporter, Violet Auma, has more in tonight's feature story for Insight.
Livestock farming is not just an economic activity in Kenya, it is a way of life. Millions rely on cattle, sheep and goats for their livelihoods. The farming is teetering on the edge of uncertainty. In the heart of Nyaporo village, Mumias East Sub-County, Kakamega County, we meet Lawrence Mukabana, a livestock farmer who has been in the business for over a decade. Mukabana is just one of the many farmers grappling with the government's recent announcement of livestock vaccination.
We are going to carry out a national campaign, a national vaccination exercise that is going to make sure that we vaccinate our 22 million heads of cattle and 50 million heads of small stock.
Social media is ablaze with alarming claims ranging from infertility in animals to fear that the vaccine could stop animals from passing gas, potentially endangering their lives.
Nikaona kwa mtandao wakisema wakati watachanja ng'ombe hii ni kama wanaiweka ugonjwa ng'ombe za wakulima wengi zinaweza sambaratika tukae bila mifugo. Ndio sababu nimeingia baridi, kwa sababu hata kama napatanga magonjwa moja mbili, but huwa tunatibu tu ng'ombe zetu na zinapona.
Mkaba's fears are echoed by Andrew Okumu, a retired teacher and a livestock farmer from Muitoti village.
Come, Maureen. I have not had prior information if I was not alerted by you, seriously speaking, and I have to be honest. And I think most of us have the same problem, because how many of us have TVs? How many of the farmers in the rural areas have radios? Field extension officers are sleeping on their job. They have not informed us.
For Okumu, the decision to vaccinate his animals are more than science or policy. It is a matter of trust, tradition, and survival.
When you touch on an animal, it whips emotions because of reasons of cultural attachment. Luya Inwanga here. An animal was kept as a source of property. So when you talk about my animal, I get emotional about it, because you are touching on a sensitive cultural nerve, and one is ready to die for an animal.
Ukilipa deni ya mwanamke kama umeoa, nalipa na ng'ombe. Hata ukiwa na milioni ngapi, unaambiwa ikonfati hiyo pesa uweke kwa ng'ombe. Chakula yenye mtu atakula, amina, amekuwa kwa matanga ya Mluya, ni ng'ombe.
I'm under obligation to vaccinate my animals for the commonly known diseases. This particular one, I don't know. Somebody needs to tell me they are vaccinating against this. And why is it mandatory? And what are the side effects that we expect?
Lakini sasa tukiambiwa tu chanjo inakuja, ni chanjo ya kuzuia ugonjwa gani? Ama kuna tu chanjo imetengenezwa specially ya kuzuia magonjwa yote?
Hiyo chanjo ambayo umekuwa ukilipia, wacha nikusaidie nikulipie this year. Ndio tuweze kuchanja ng'ombe ya kila mtu. Yule yako na pesa na yule ambaye hana pesa, pia ng'ombe yake ipate chanjo. Sasa mnakubali watu wanakuja kudanganya nyinyi? Sijui iko mtu anaitwa Bill Gates.
However, opposition leaders and activists claim that the vaccines are part of an international agenda to limit methane emissions, a potent greenhouse gas produced when animals burp or pass gas.
Ikiwa ni wazungu ambapo kwa wenyewe wamekataa mambo haya, alafu tunakuwa kama sisi ndio guinea pigs na wanyama wetu, tuna umuhimu, tuna haki kikatiba kusema la.
In their process of digesting the green, the leaves, the bacteria end up producing a set of gases. One of them is just methane.
Winston Wanjala, a veterinary surgeon, is the immediate chair of the Kenya Veterinary Association Western Branch. Wanjala dismissed allegations that the vaccines are meant to prevent animals from farting.
The digestive system is an open system. So meaning the gas that have been produced in the rumen must obviously come out through the mouth or through the anus. So you cannot prevent that process. If you have seen an ordinary industry, the first thing you see is a chimney producing what? Some smoke, some what. That's exactly what happens in the rumen of the cow. So obviously there must be something to be released to go out. So in my opinion, it's not possible to stop the animals from farting. That's just, somebody once said, hot air.
According to the Global Methane Assessment 2021 published by the United Nations of Environment Program, UNEP, cattle are the largest contributors of methane emissions from human activities, accounting for 30%. The oil and gas sector follows at 22%, with human waste and landfills at 17%. Experts like Wanjala now want the government to improve its outreach and educate farmers to dispel misinformation.
Then there are many other industrial chemicals which get into the atmosphere and by extension to the ozone layer. So methane may be one of them, but not the major one. So I look at the industrial chemicals are the worst ones compared to methane.
We have been producing as a country this vaccine since 1964, when we produced our first dose. And consistently we have continued producing this vaccine.
Every county has its own priorities. So chances are that there are places which have not even vaccinated animals. So to us, it is God sent if we can have a national exercise having all animals in Kenya vaccinated. So I urge every farmer in Kenya to move ahead and ensure that their animals are vaccinated.
During his vetting, Agriculture CS nominee Mutahi Kagwe affirmed that the national livestock vaccination exercise will remain a voluntary initiative. Kagwe emphasized that livestock belongs to individuals and not to the government, making it clear that no one will be compelled to vaccinate their animals.
There is no force of vaccinating your cow. However, if you don't want us to vaccinate it, we can leave it. However, these are the problems that you are going to incur. And that is why I'm saying, Mr. Chairman, nobody with the proper communication is going to make that choice. What you cannot do is go there at gunpoint and tell somebody. You can imagine the kind of fighting you might have with some people, with pangas and so on, if you try that system. So all I'm saying, Mr. Chairman, and don't take it too literally, is that we will give people a choice, but we'll make sure that they make the right decision.
The situation is further complicated by a recent outbreak of foot and mouth disease in Kakamega County. Livestock markets in Shinyalu and Malava constituencies have been closed to prevent the spread of the disease.
Tumedhibitisha visa kadha wa ugonjwa huo wa foot and mouth, na leo hii mnavyoona tunaanzisha chanjo na maafisa wetu ambao mifugo haitaletwa pamoja, watatembea boma baada ya lingine.
Despite farmers' concerns, the government maintains that the vaccine is essential to controlling disease and boosting livestock productivity.
That vaccination is necessary because we want to create a disease-free country, and so that we can market our livestock products to destinations that today we have been denied access to certain destinations because of our disease control inadequacies.
The veterinary officers have urged the government to delay the vaccination rollout, citing the need for more consultation, public participation, and clarity on the vaccine. But farmers like Mukabana and Okumo remain torn, caught between protecting their livestock and fearing the unknown. For now, the fate of their livelihoods and Kenya's livestock sector hangs in the balance.
Once people are told clearly what is happening, why it's happening, and how it should happen, I don't see any sensible farmer refusing to comply.
As Kenya grapple with this vaccine controversy, the stakes are high. For farmers, it is about survival. For the government, it's about progress, animal health, environmental policy, and economic survival. Finding common ground is essential to navigating this complex issue. Violet Auma, TV47.
Folks, this story is a precursor to the conversation we're having today. Doubtless, a lot of you have had questions about this program, the vaccination program nationwide. You heard it from some of the people that we spoke to. Why now? Something they have never seen since independence. Well, tonight we are joined by a scientist who knows the subject very well. He has made it his life's work. He teaches this in school, among other things, and he actually has had a hand in developing some serious vaccines that have been used across the world. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in introducing to you Dr. or Professor Heshbon Tindi. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Professor is from the Machakos University, but he has a PhD in molecular immunology, a master's in molecular biology on drug prophylaxis and animal health. All that English means he knows what he's talking about. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening, Victor.
Thank you very much. Now, I think we'll just go straight in. There's quite a few questions here about this subject matter. Thank you for joining us once again. And could you briefly explain why livestock vaccination is crucial, particularly in Kenya, just foundational?
Yeah, thank you, Victor. First of all, we have to understand that we are dealing with a developing country. developing country where we need food security. So the very first thing, even before you talk about anything, we need to secure our future. We need to secure our livestock. And that is a cornerstone of this country in the dairy sector and also in the private sector, in the pastoral sector. If we lose that, we lose our future. A gentleman has just talked about paying dowry in form of livestock.
Right.
Imagine, without livestock, you can't marry. We need to secure that. So there is immense advantage in securing the future by protecting the livestock. And I think that's why, for us as scientists, I think it is an exciting moment to be in Kenya and to be talking about vaccines, to be able to protect our future.
All right.
Yep.
Now that we've established that, tell us a little bit about this campaign that the president announced a few months ago. The general understanding is that the campaign targets several livestock diseases. Which diseases are being prioritized and why are they significant?
I think for me, having worked in the livestock sector, I would first of all talk about the East Coast fever, which actually is like the cancer of the cattle.
Oh, wow.
So when we are talking about cancer in human beings, this is the cancer that we need to talk. If animals are infected by the ticks, which then transmit the parasite that causes East Coast fever, then they die within 21 days. If they don't die, then there is muscle wasting. So if there are animals that we need to take to the butcher, the farmer loses the weight.
They waste away.
They waste away. So basically, you are losing the mass, and the kgs is basically we are losing the few shillings. If it is in the dairy sector, then that cattle is going to cut the production in milk. Imagine of our young children who depend on milk. For the protein at that tender age, it means that our nutrition is also affected, apart from the fact that the farmer also is losing in the liters of milk. So I put that as an important disease that actually we need to slow down or totally eradicate. Now, when we come to the small ruminants, we have PPR.
So, just for the sake of our viewers, small ruminants, we're talking about.
We are talking about goats and sheep. Yeah, and for this country, when we are fond of nyama choma, so instead of actually going for especially for the small gathering, instead of going for a whole cattle, we majorly go for the goats,
boozy or
and all that. So that actually put PPR, which is Peste des Petits Ruminants, a small, pest for the small ruminants. That puts that disease as an important disease that we need to slow. And again, I get to the trade that we do for in goats and sheep. So if those animals, we lose them, then we lose the trade, we lose the money, we lose the tax.
Right.
And therefore, we need to rethink and see how best to help the economy of this country.
Talk to us a little bit about foot and mouth.
So foot and mouth is another one. First of all, it's actually transboundary. It means that if we don't actually protect our animals in Kenya, it can also jump into the neighboring countries, but it can also go to Somalia. So, and therefore there is trade actually involved in terms of the foot and mouth disease.
All right.
So that actually puts an important aspect in terms of controlling that disease, not only for the health within the country, but also for the whole region.
Well,
yeah,
we have you have explained quite well when it comes to the economic impact. Could you tell us a little bit more on the health impact of these diseases now on humans?
Yeah, first of all, for East Coast fever, the health impact is on the fact that majorly in the dairy industry, we rely on milk. And of course, if the disease comes, then there is shortage of milk. And that actually affects, especially in our babies and all that. But of course, it doesn't jump into the human because
All right.
doesn't jump on the human.
That's,
and the same
yeah.
with the PPR, which is the pest for the small ruminants. Yeah.
All right, that's good to know, because I know some people were worried that this and this would happen. But now another concern that has come up in the recent weeks is around the safety of the vaccines. As a person who's actually developed multiple vaccines and administered them fairly successfully, many people are concerned about this safety. Could you explain, for our viewers, the process of testing and approval of these vaccines before they are actually released?
Yeah, thanks, Victor. I think, and that is part of especially for the last, let me say, the last 7 years of my life before I joined into I became the Don into the university. I was working with an organization called Global Alliance on Livestock Veterinary Medicines. One of my key activity was to walk around the vaccine production institute, including Kevevapi was one of them. And one of my role was to make sure that Kevevapi meets what is called the good manufacturing practices, especially in the veterinary field. Kevevapi is one, but also we had a Center for Tick and Tick-borne Diseases based in Malawi, which actually went into production of the East Coast fever. And around other eight vaccine production institutes across Africa, up to Mali, Senegal, and also PanVac in Addis. And for you to be satisfied with the ISO standard, you needed to show that you are having good manufacturing practices, and that includes the quality of the vaccine. So we walk through the production process from right away from structuring the production facility to the materials that goes into the production of the vaccines, to the staffing, up to when we have the final product. And once we have the final product, we test it within the institute. We send it to facilities such as PanVac to certify that, and also to other reference laboratory. For East Coast fever, we've even sent them up to a lab in Institute of Tropical Medicine in Antwerp, which is actually a reference laboratory for WHO. And therefore, they are certified by that WHO to certify that the quality has gone into the production. And for vaccine production, we say that we build the quality into the production process. And therefore, for me as a scientist sitting here, I think I'm convinced that, especially for East Coast fever, for PPR, we've walked Kevevapi through a quality vaccine production manual.
And you're satisfied?
And I'm satisfied.
All right. Have these vaccines, and I know from your experience you have examples, have these vaccines been used successfully in Kenya and also other countries around the continent?
I think quite a good, interesting question. First of all, I want to say is that I personally have vaccinated animals in Tanzania. I vaccinated animals in Malawi. I vaccinated animals in Mozambique. I vaccinated animals in Rwanda, Uganda, personally.
And we're not talking about 2 or 3 cows here.
No. For East Coast fever, we are talking about 2.5 million cattle that has been vaccinated across 11 African countries. For PPR, we have actually vaccinated, and at the moment, Uganda has vaccinated cattle in the Karamoja region. This country has actually vaccinated cattle, in Narok, PPR, on trial basis, and we have seen up to now, the adverse reactions that is normal to any other disease, to any other vaccine, and which is acceptable within the range of any trials, actually. Those have been well documented. Farmers can attest all the way from Amboseli, from Narok, from Uasin Gishu can attest that we are vaccinated for East Coast fever. Their livestock are there, and we can even go and look at the tags. Because when we do vaccinate with East Coast fever vaccine, infection and treatment method, we do the tagging. And therefore, any animal that is still alive that has not been taken to the butcher, actually we can actually satisfied that that animal is live.
And it's doing well.
It's doing well.
All right. Now, still under the subject of, I mean, there's been quite a lot of mistrust and some innuendos and propagandas and concerns. Some people fear that there are hidden motives behind this campaign. How would you respond to these suspicions?
I think, first of all, we can walk through the history of the vaccine fraud, especially the major one that the government has talked about. PPR, I've had PPR, I've heard about East Coast fever, I've also heard about FMD. East Coast fever is a vaccine, initially, the initial stages of development was done at our own Calro, when it was formerly called CARI. Then technology transferred to International Livestock Research Institute, then personally I transferred the technology to Center for Tick and Tick-Borne Diseases, but also Calro is now producing it. And we have scientists there who can attest if anything is added into the vaccine, then we can tell. Calro can test. University of Nairobi actually can test. At our veterinary, the campus on veterinary sciences can do.
Kobete.
Yes, personally at the Machakos University, I have facilities that can test if anything is added on it. And therefore, as a public institution and a public servant, I think those are things that we can safeguard. Coming on PPR, the production process is pretty simple. We put the virus into a mammalian cell called the verocells so that we can multiply it. We grow it 5 days, and then we harvest the attenuated virus. And then we titrate that. If you add anything, any other molecular scientist can actually attest that, can actually do quality control on that and say something else is added into this. And they are established procedures to do that.
All right.
You can pick in the field
any at random, test it,
and test it.
So it would be fairly easy for an expert such as yourself
Yes.
to identify if something else has been added.
Yes, and this country has so many labs actually. Most universities can do this. We have research institutions that can do this. We have our own vaccine, the national quality laboratory that can actually test this. So there are many agencies that can actually do that to safeguard the assets that we have in this country. Yeah.
The other concern also would be coming from any role, if any, of international organizations and donors. What role do they play in this campaign, and how does one ensure transparency?
First of all, and that's why history is important, because history helps us to build the culture in any society. If this, especially East Coast fever, was first of all done at Calro, now CARI, and they're still doing this, they still have the facilities, and we can actually see all their donors. When I was working at the International Livestock Research Institute at that time, we were funded by the OSAID and CSIRO, which is the research wing of the Australian government, and partly the Kenyan government. Therefore, at that time, we can't say that their interest is still there up to date. Now, today, if another donor wants to help in the deployment of the vaccine in the field, I think that is a pretty good. They're basically taking in a product that was produced with a different donor and seeing it's working, why not support it? If our Kenyan government want to now cascade this for its own citizens, I think that's something that in this time, as a scientist, for me, I'm happy that at least we have a government that is actually identifying the need and the sweat that the scientists have gone through, and probably also safeguarding activities that our young scientists can actually join the job market and research on.
All right, all right. Okay, so we've looked at that. There's another side to this. Are there any side effects and risks? I think you touched on that a little bit, but could you just elaborate a little bit? Any documented side effects of these vaccines, and how are they being managed? And is there a legitimate concern that these risks can affect a huge amount of animals across the country?
For ECF, which I've actually been associated with for over 12 years, I think there is a well-documented manual, vaccination manual on the vaccine, up to the adverse reaction. And adverse reaction for ECF is basically less than 1%. And that is not unique only to East Coast fever or PPR or even FMD. Because even when we look with the recent pandemic, we had adverse reactions that were actually very minimal. And those are within the acceptable range. And I will ask in a simple question that sometimes, even when we eat ugali, you can eat ugali and then you get a blot. You see, if you overeat, then you find that not everybody will get a blot, but a few, depending on the body reactions. Yeah. So I will say that any adverse reaction, especially for East Coast fever, is well documented. Personally, I have data that has even been published. They are all over in the internet in this area, and we can direct anybody to that.
So nothing to worry about?
As a scientist, nothing to worry about.
All right. Now, let's take it a little faster. Do you have any idea of how the rollout of this vaccine is going to be? Or how would you advise that the vaccination program is rolled out across the country for maximum effect, for it to be successful?
I think government always have a manual of rolling out their program through the line ministries. And within the line ministries, there are technocrats, well trained. In fact, I still think that, because I've worked with government across Africa.
Right.
And I've worked with our experts at the Directorate of Veterinary Sciences. Those vet doctors have confidence in them. I've actually trained many veterinarians in this country. And there are also NGOs in this business. So, and also there are also other stakeholders. There are farmers. We've also trained, vaccinated across the country, And therefore, what for me I would say as a point of discussion is that let's bring in the stakeholders together. Those who are still skeptic, let's give them the information, proven information that they can actually verify, so that they can understand how the vaccine works, its importance, and the advantages that it can give to the country.
All right. You have worked internationally. You have had vast experience in this field. From your experience, what lessons from other countries can we adopt to make this program and others like it a success? As briefly, please.
I think discussions. And this is cultural, because our African software was based on oral, with oral literature. We were based on telling stories. So let's tell them the real stories. Let's tell people the story about the vaccine, what it is, how it works, the advantages, and also the disadvantages. In fact, I will refer to one of the slogans that we developed for East Coast fever: one shot for life. One shot and you protect your livestock, your cattle for life. You lose your cattle, you lose your income. So for me, I will say is that our culture was based on informing the others so that they understand. And we will get around fire those old days and do stories. And that will build the knowledge of the other person. And once he understands, when an African understands something, he buys it. And for me, I have seen that. I've seen that in Kenya. When they understand the advantage of the vaccine, they do vaccinate. There are farmers who have actually vaccinated, including big farmers, big ranches, and also small-scale farmers. And I have no doubt that they will reject the program.
All right. Now, as we wind up, I want to give you an opportunity. What message would you like to share with farmers and the general public who are hesitant to vaccinate their livestock? There's your camera. Talk to the people. What message would you have?
I think for me as a Kenyan, I can say 25 years ago, I was an aspiring scientist. I was an aspiring young man going to the university. I didn't know what the future held for me. Through that, government invested a lot of money in terms of scholarships and the university and the infrastructure at the university to make sure that they produce one person called Dr. Tindi. Imagine if I came out and there were no vaccine to research. My future would have gone down. Let us not kill the dream of our children. We have children who want to become scientists like myself. That person needs something to research. That person needs to develop a solution into the future. We have many of them, the young scientists, who are not having jobs. Let's continue producing those jobs. Today we have Kevevapi. I'm looking into the future when we can have 10 Kevevapi so that we can employ 10 young graduates. Those farmers, they are the ones who will make us do this. If we safeguard their livestock, if they get their money, if that money comes back into the economy, the government is going to build for us the infrastructure we need, and the jobs, the future jobs for our children.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Heshborn Tindi of the Machakos University and one of our senior and eminent researchers and scientists in the area of animal vaccines. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for sharing your insights on Insight Tonight. Asante sana.
Thank you.
All right. Now, we're just about to shift gears away from medicine and veterinary medicine for that matter. Let's take a look at some sports news in a moment.
Sports news brought to you by Maybets.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've just found out that the guest we just had on the Insight Tonight is a Chelsea fan. I feel so sorry for him. I really do feel so sorry for all the Chelsea fans. But that aside, Kenya is gearing up to host the globally celebrated 2025 World Rally Championship Safari Rally, scheduled to run from March the 20th to the 23rd of this year. In anticipation of this prestigious event, KCB Kenya has launched the Revisha na KCB campaign. It's a nationwide initiative aimed at promoting financial empowerment and encouraging positive savings behavior among Kenyans. Take a look. And Kenya has been placed in what is being described as the group of death in the draw for the 2024 Africa Nations Championship, or CHAN, co-hosted by Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda. The draw was conducted on Wednesday night at the Kenyatta International Convention Center in Nairobi. While Tanzania and Uganda are in relatively manageable groups, Kenya faces a tough challenge in the biennial competition, which features only locally based players. The tournament, initially postponed, is now scheduled to kick off in August of this year. Tony Kwalanda attended the event for the draw and filed this report.
This will be the first African Nations Championship to be staged in East Africa since Rwanda single-handedly hosted it in 2016. The biennial tournament, which was initially set for this February, was postponed to August this year, and it will be the 8th edition of the finals. The competition features only players who ply their trade in their domestic leagues, and 17 teams are confirmed for the 1-month extravaganza. The draw was held on Wednesday night at the Kenyatta International Convention Center in Nairobi and was conducted by legends from Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania.
This tournament is going to bring out the best for Kenya in terms of talents, but also in terms of our profile for trade, for investment, and also for scouting.
Kenya is in the group of death alongside two-time champions Morocco, Democratic Republic of Congo, Zambia and Angola.
We have a big chance because, Morocco here, we've been doing well in the past, and then Angola same, we've done good. I think we have a big chance to qualify in this group.
It's good for us, sababu inaenda prepare players psychologically, because kila player anajua wanaenda kukutana na timu ngumu. So wata prepare wakijua haiendi kuwa rahisi.
These are the kind of matches that kila mchezaji ana dream kucheza. So we just hope anybody mwenye atapata hiyo opportunity ataenda pale nje ku represent Kenya proudly.
Taifa Stars are expected to shine in their group, which comprises of debutants Central African Republic, Madagascar, Mauritania and Burkina Faso.
Kubwa ni kwamba hili sisi kama nchi za East Africa ambapo tunaandaa mashindano haya tuna deni. Ni kwamba kuhakikisha kwamba sisi Tanzania, Kenya na Uganda tunafanya vizuri kuhakikisha kwamba hili kombe linabaki kwenye ardhi hii ya East Africa.
The Cranes will take on Niger, Guinea and 2 other teams which are yet to qualify.
And Uganda has qualified for 7 previous competitions. This is the 8th. And we never get out of the group. So our target right now to begin with is to get out of the group. And when you get into the knockout stages, anything happens.
Defending champions, the Lions of Teranga are in a tricky group which includes Nigeria, Congo and Sudan. Nyayo National Stadium and Kasarani Stadium are still undergoing renovations, with the training grounds at Ulinzi Sports Complex, Kenya Police Sacco Stadium and Kasarani Annex ready for use. Tony Kwalanda, TV47 Sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, now time for some golf. But, I just found out also that my guest used to play football himself. His brother used to be one of the Kenyan All-Stars, Zico, the great. He played alongside Peter Dawa and Mike Muiruri.
Yes, and Mike Muiruri.
At Kericho All-Stars. Excellent. Time now for some golf, and the prestigious Muthaiga Golf Club in Nairobi is currently hosting the Golf Rules School Level 2 training organized by the Kenya Golf Union in partnership with the Royal and Ancient Golf Club of St. Andrews. This 3-day program is designed to provide participants with advanced knowledge and understanding of golf rules. Building on the foundation established in the Level 1 training, the initiative aims to ensure that golfers possess a comprehensive grasp of the game's regulations and rules. This year's event has attracted 39 participants from various countries including Uganda, Zimbabwe, Cameroon and Kenya.
We are running the Level 2 Rule School for the rules of golf. This is a 3-day seminar that brings together golfers, golf administrators, starters, and any individuals that are involved in the running of golf tournaments. Very helpful for them to get a better understanding of the rules.
Today we are here at Muthaiga Golf Club having a Level 2 Rules Seminar. And this is the 4th Level 2 Rules Seminar in Kenya. First one having been held in 2017, second one in 2019, third one in 2022, and now this is the 4th one.
My name is Justus Madenge, Vice Captain, Rural Sports Club. And today we're just going through the rules of golf, Level 2. And quite encouraging because as a person, I'm learning a lot of rules and how to play the rule of the game of golf with the rule.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for choosing us to inform you of what's been happening across your world. Up next is a sporting extravaganza, your weekly turbocharged sporting action show, VAR. My name is Victor Muyakane. Alongside me was Catherine Simaloy on sign language. And together with the technical team and the editorial team, we thank you and good night. May God bless you.